Hello and welcome to Cookie Jar Adventures with Barbara Church. Today's story is called The Skeleton and the Rocking Chair, from a book called Rude Stories by Jan Andrews, read and narrated by Barbara Church. The Skeleton and the Rocking Chair. Rude, rude, rude. What I'm going to tell you next is a story about a woman who was so rude she wouldn't even stay in her grave the way she was supposed to. She wouldn't even accept the right and proper rules for dying. For her, there was no lying quiet and unmoving in her coffin beneath the earth, with her eyes and her mouth shut still and tight. This was once too, of course. It was a different once, though. It was the once when monkeys hadn't even begun to grow their tails yet, when worms came wiggling up out of the dirt to greet you in the morning, and when earwigs and slugs and snails and all the world's creepy crawlies could be counted on to say hello. I don't think she was related to Mr. Mosquito, but she might have been. Folks from all over came to attend her funeral. They all knew she was so nasty that cats wouldn't even scratch her for fear of getting blood poisoned. They all wanted to be certain she was safely in her grave.
I think she's dead.
They watched the coffin being lowered.
I don't know.
And they went home satisfied. Her poor old husband went home too. He hardly had got himself indoors. He hadn't even had time to make himself a cup of tea. And there she came, bold as brass, walking into the kitchen in her burial finest. She settled herself in a rocking chair. It was the only comfortable chair in the house, I might add. Her husband had been looking forward for his turn in it for a change. Rock, rock, rock. She went, and with every rock there was a squeak. The afternoon passed by and the evening came. Didn't matter how many times her husband told her she ought not to be there. Didn't matter how many times he reminded her she'd better be moving along. I might be dead, but I'm not finished, she kept saying. I'll sit here forever if I'd like.
Okay.
Forever. Night fell. He went to bed without her. He heard the rocking and squeaking first thing when he woke up. It was still going on. Down the stairs he came. He'd never been able to leave his wife when she was living, now had he? He certainly couldn't leave her when she was dead. His life now, though, it was a great deal worse than it had been. Apart from anything else, it seemed she'd forgotten his name. If she'd just gone on calling him a blabbering idiot instead of Harry, the way she'd done before, he wouldn't have minded. But she couldn't seem to stop at that any longer. You old nincompoop, she'd say to him. You cock-a-me flapperdoodle. You shivering, withering cessput. You ninny-pate crowfoot. On and on and on. She was after him for the house cleaning. Do you think just because I am dead I can see that hair in the corner? She was after him for cooking. Do you think because I am dead I don't need to eat? She was after him for the dishes. Do you think because I am dead I didn't notice you only rinsed that pot twice over? He was at his wit's end. It was true. He could see she was shrinking. First her clothes were hanging off her, then her skin. Then she didn't have any flesh on her. There were just her bones. But that was almost worse still. Rock, 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 rock. You crab-faced bandicoot! Her jaw was going at him. You grub-tool homunculus! You lug-loaf milk-slop! Galoot of lummox! Rock, 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 rock. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Rattle, rattle, rattle went her bones. No one came to visit, of course. Why would they? Who wanted to be sitting down for a nice, polite conversation with the remains of a corpse? When Henry heard a knock, he was happy. He was even more happy when he saw a fiddler at the door.